welcome to another episode of Shooting
the Shit with Rachael
and Neal Young. So we're talking all things real estate photography business growth, mindset, and getting it done. Here come your favorite true entrepreneurs, Rachael and Neal Young, shooting the shit.
I have a ferret on the podcast. Like if we're kind of in a slump, like what kind of things do you do?
Talking about a boob light.
Straddling a power line.
Nice photo.
Ooh, I need that.
I'm like red right now because I'm embarrassed. I go like this. I love it.
Come in.
Sure, use your podcast voice.
You know, over here, I'm pitting out.
Drone's like flipping to the ground.
That's a great callback.
Chit-chatting.
Is that what you call that? Hey! Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Shooting the Shit with Rachael and Neal Young. So today we have a fun episode. So as you guys may or may not know, Neal has a theater major, and he worked in LA for about 10 years doing acting and live theater. He did some improv and sketch comedy as well. So which I find to be so interesting and intriguing. Like, you have so much confidence to be able to get up on stage and do that. Like, that's incredible to me. So
yeah. It doesn't. it is still scary though, even for us that when we were doing it on a regular basis. Sometimes you go to get out on stage, and right before you have to go out, you're like, oh my gosh, what if I fail? What if I go out there and no words come out of my mouth? What am I going to do? And then it's just like they push you out there and you go.
And we're live. Let's go.
And there you are. Hi.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hi.
So it certainly doesn't hurt when you have to having that experience when you have to talk to people or, present in front of a crowd of people and stuff. It definitely helps. But,
yeah. So our episode today is going to cover something that's a little different. It's the concept of yes and. So it's something that is used in improv and in business and in growth.
So there's some crazy weird stuff you've probably seen in movies where these actors do these crazy warm-ups and just ridiculous stuff that we do. And I said do. But surprisingly, a lot of these relate to the real world. Maybe not exactly in the same context, but they can apply. And so a lot of that helps in communication and dealing with people and sales and all kinds of stuff you probably wouldn't expect when you're maybe watching some movie with behind the scenes with crazy actors going la 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 lo. But some of it is that weird and actually translates to better communication sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. And we can use it in our businesses every day and in our client relationships and in our team building and so much more. So we are going to explore the concept of yes and today, and we're going to play with it and have fun. And I would encourage you guys to do the same with your business partners, your friends, your husband, wife, whatever. It's fun.
Yeah. All right, let's get you loose. Yeah, get loose with it. Get out of your head and then use some of these tactics. All right, okay. So yes and. This is the base. Yes and is an improv thing that's a sort of core sort of rule of doing improv. And that is you really want to avoid ever saying no. The golden word is yes. Okay, it's agreeing and going along, and the and is moving forward. So not just yes and leave it at that, but adding some additional information. And so in improv, that's because if you're not familiar with improv comedy, they do not have a script and they just have to go off the cuff. They might get a basic topic from the audience, and then sometimes from nothing else besides, one line from somebody in the audience, they have to make a scene that hopefully ends up comical. And so the yes and is basically saving your partner and helping your partner when they say something. And it could be, oh man, I don't know how long it's going to take for us to finish building this spaceship. The partner's job at that point is to have listened to what they said, agree with it, add to it so that they can move along the story. So, how long is it going to take us to build this spaceship? If you were to go, spaceship, that's an apple, that's like saying no, or just saying we're not in space, that's a no. So instead of that, that would be dead in the water, scene would go nowhere. So instead there is this yes. Yeah, and I really think we should have scaled down. I don't know why we decided to make this a mile long. I think it might be out of our skill set, right? And so now we're going somewhere, okay? It's the same thing when talking to a potential client or maybe dealing with a good example is, and this has happened to both of us, when you're dealing with your agent on location at a shoot, for example, they may have some recommendations to the homeowner about the house or how it's decorated, for example. We talked a little bit about this in one of our other episodes, preparing for a home, but and check it out if you haven't checked that one out. But for example, there are times where the agent is telling the homeowner, you know what, we probably could simplify this a little bit more. And if we took some of these personal items out of here, I think it would be more acceptable to a wider audience, for example. The homeowner may not be on the same page at that point, or maybe questioning that. They think maybe they have better thoughts of what things should look like. You at that point, you could greatly benefit that situation, help that situation by going along with your agent, who in that case is your teammate, right? To do a yes and there. So by you simply saying, yes, you know what, that's a great idea. Broadening the audience, more of the audience is going to like this. Plus, from my standpoint as a photographer, when we get rid of some of this extra stuff, it actually makes the space appear larger by simplifying. So that's a simple yes and. In that scenario, what we've done is we've backed up our partner, showed support for them. We've also kind of accredited them, made them
validated them.
Validated them is the word. Yeah, validated them and kind of made them the authority, right? So we put them in that authority position, also ourselves in an authority position. So we look like the experts now. And it's just kind of going to be one more little like stone on the pile that, okay, I guess maybe she does know what she's talking about. He seems to agree as well. So that's a simple example of yes and in that scenario, everybody's winning and we're moving forward in the right direction. Not to mention your agent's going to be psyched that you're on the same page and helping them, right? It's teamwork. At its base, it's teamwork. Yeah, and I mean, if you think about the polar opposite, let's say you maybe didn't agree with that opinion for whatever reason, it would not have done anyone in that scenario any good for you to object and go against the grain and say, no, I don't think that's necessary. Can you imagine? It would
be like dead awkward silence. Like, now what?
Everybody just looking at each other.
Yeah. And now the homeowner is on your side and not on the agent's side, when the agent is the one that's supposed to be looking out for this client and doing everything they can to help them. Yeah, it would just be bad.
Yeah.
So just agree to everything. Yes and everything. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Obviously, there's a time and place, but yeah, it will help you move forward in your conversations with people and be more creative and open to building the story and building the conversation and the storyline when you're conversating with people. It's pretty interesting. You can use it in sales as well. So a lot of times when you're trying to sell your services, you can come out straight out and say, oh, do you want to order Matterport? Do you want to add that on? Or you can start, like, if they say something about, oh, don't you offer virtual tours, or is that a service you have? Yes. And it's a great way to showcase the home, and it offers a 24-hour open house. And that gives you kind of that lead to start talking about it in a sense, but you want to make it more conversational when you're trying to sell your services. You don't just want to come out and be blunt with it, right? Like the more you can make it more of a conversation and kind of answer some of their questions that they have, the easier it'll flow.
Yeah, and if they're talking about something that's important to them, kind of in tandem with that, yes, is sometimes if you repeat a little bit of what they said, so you're like in agreement and highlighting that you heard what they said, and then adding your and, which might lead you towards your goal, it's going to be better accepted. Like, oh, he did hear what he said. Oh, and he agrees with me. Like, oh, okay. And when you have some additional information about that, that's helpful. Okay. Suddenly all these yeses are heading in the right direction. So on those lines, another, do you want to, Rachel, do you want to do a pretend improv yes and? Rachel's
do I ever? Yes. And it's going to be so much fun, Neal. So we're going to do an exercise where Neal is going to be the question, like the one that brings up the subject, and then I'm going to answer with yes and then we're going to switch it. And we're going to run through maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 of these just for fun and see where it goes. And I have never done improv. So Neal, go easy on me. Okay.
You've got the harder. Are you sure you've got the harder part in this scenario? Maybe we'll try one where I start it and you yes and it.
No, give me the hard part. I like a challenge.
Okay,
bring it on.
That's the harder part, I'd say. So to make it fair, so that I have a little bit of a challenge, generally the audience would give me a topic that I would have to use to start. So why don't you come up with a topic for me, and I'll use that to say, we're just going to do a quick little one line. I'll say something, and she'll yes and it to try and add to the story basically and move forward. So what's this? Let me ask you a place that I'm at in this scene, Rachel.
Okay, you are at a house that you're going to shoot in 5 feet of snow.
Oh, 5 feet of snow. Okay. Let's see. All right, ready?
Right.
Okay. Wow, I have to say, this is probably one of the most beautiful houses I've seen. And I'm so excited that I brought my toboggan.
Yes. Yes. And I'm glad that I brought the snow shovel.
What if we were to shovel the roof into a slide and get a shot coming off the roof? What do you think?
Yes. And we could do a speed ramp down the slide and into the swimming pool that is now covered in ice.
Oh, I love the speed ramp and editing. Let's get into this. Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
Good job.
There you go.
So we went a little step further because it's really just supposed to be like
we
one question,
we continued the
good.
scene. Sorry, my fault.
No, that's fine. No, improv is interesting because it's like, where are you going to go next?
And clearly you're not. I don't know that, at home or you're like, when are we going to do this? But, we're just having some fun with it. But I don't know, maybe you would, if you had a sales call coming up, maybe you just want to do a warm up with somebody and have some fun just to get loose. I mean, you totally could.
Yeah. Or your team members, make your team members do it, put them on the spot.
Yeah. But the real important thing is,
7 a.m. on Friday morning is when we do our meetings. They all show up like a couple of them, like half asleep. I'm like, good morning. I've been up since 5. And they're like, oh, Rachel, way too much energy.
Yeah. Everybody loves improv at 5 a.m. and being put on the spot. But the real important part is that in order to do the yes and, you really have to have been listening.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really the core of it. If you're not listening, and that's kind of my part B of this, okay, is actors, especially actors who are working off a script, okay, or even improv actors that just have something funny in their mind that they want to get out. You have this tendency to be focusing on what you're going to say next. And that can happen a lot in transactions with a new client or, sales or anything like that, or even on our podcast, right? If you're thinking about what you're going to say next, you're not really listening. So this I call What's My Line. If everybody's seen What's My Line, an improv show, it's pretty cool. But if you're only thinking about your line, you're not going to be as successful as you would be. You're not going to come off as genuine as you could if you're actually listening in the moment. You should know your part, the technical side, whatever the sales pitch is. You should know that by heart, that you shouldn't have to be thinking about that. And you should be able to apply that when it's appropriate, not under your own, when you want to kind of force it in. So if you're actually listening to them, you're going to have a lot more success. So, like we said before, if they're going on about something important, that's your opportunity to listen to what they said, repeat back something of importance that they said, add to it to show that you're actually valuing what they're saying. And then you can use that to head in the direction of something that you'd like to get across. But if you're only throwing your own lines out there, you're going to get a brick wall and they're not going to be responsive. It's not going to be a conversation. That's just you spitting out lines. And if we were actors out on the stage, those lines wouldn't be coming across. They wouldn't be heartfelt. They wouldn't be anything but a bunch of lines, and nobody'd be buying it. Mm-hmm. And quote unquote, no one would buy it.
Yes. So. And now I feel like I have to do yes and this whole episode.
Yes.
It's actually, I've been, since I've learned about yes and, because I read the book Yes and. It's about, what is it called? Sitter or something City. Sitter City.
Oh, sorry, Second City. I almost said
Second
Sin City.
City. Thank you. I don't know why I'm stuck on Sitter.
I almost said Sin City. Great movie.
I did too, and I'm like, that's not it. That's not it. So, Second City was one of the first theaters that came up with that concept, right? They taught.
Yeah, I mean,
taught
they're
classes and
a
stuff on improv.
super well-known class for improv and sketch comedy. A lot of the original cast from Saturday Night Live came out of there. So yeah. Yep.
Anyways, that's a good book too if you want to dive more into this. One of the things that I got out of that book was how you can apply this into a brainstorming session with business partners or your life partner or whatever. And when you're in a situation where you're trying to come up with new creative ideas, you need to be in a safe environment where your feelings and everything can flow naturally. So by responding to someone that has an idea with a no or a negative, it really blocks them and makes them kind of put up their guard. So it's really important to agree and then kind of flow with the conversation and see that can lead to more and more things. Like sometimes you might hear something and you think, oh, I don't like that idea. But if you try to find one thing good in it, right? You're like, yes, and maybe we could do this. It can go any direction. So I think you'd be surprised at how far it can go when you put that yes and in place.
Yeah, I think in general, dealing with people, the more you can avoid the contradiction of something they say, you're going to get resistance as soon as you do that. No matter what you want to do from that point, they're not going to be receptive to it if you're throwing no's their way. So you definitely want to find a way to make it a yes instead.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, sure. Neal, let's do it again. Let's play.
Okay,
this is fun.
All right.
I don't know if the audience is going to enjoy this.
Are you doing the first part on this one, or are we doing it the same way we did it last time?
I'll ask the question. Okay,
you're gonna start the scene out. Okay.
Or should I ask what I'm doing? What am I doing?
Oh, you want to do it? What am I? Okay. And there's so many games that are going through my head that we used to do from improv right now. So here, what are you doing? Okay, I'll give you a what are you doing? All right, let's see. Okay, you are. Okay, you are dusting. You have one of those blowers, and you're trying to get the dust off of your camera sensor.
Okay. That's weirdly interesting. Okay. I can't get this little piece of dust off of my camera lens. I think it's actually a dead bug leg.
Oh my gosh. Let me take a look at that. Yeah, and I think that might be a praying mantis. How'd you get a praying mantis in your camera?
Good job, Neal. Good job. Did you like the blowing in the thingy?
I really did. I almost yes and you're blowing. I almost yes and you're blowing. Like, maybe that's all she's gonna do, and I'm just gonna go, okay, yes and more blowing.
That's all I got for you, Neal.
I liked it. That was cool. That was good.
Okay.
So more crazy. Here's one more crazy thing we used to do. Okay. That actually ties in. It doesn't make any sense that it would. When you hear it, you're gonna be like, how's this gonna tie in? So in acting class in college, we used to do this thing where we would mirror the other person. We'd get in pairs, and it was like some crazy seance. You'd stand in front of the other person with your hands up like this, okay? And you would just focus on the other person.
I'm just gonna do it.
Oh, okay. All right. Hold on. Hold on. Let me pull. Hold on. I got my notes in the way. I gotta look at you. All right. So we're gonna do it. This is so ridiculous.
I know. It really is.
Right.
Watch it on YouTube.
The goal of this is for neither of us to be the leader, to not really be sure who's the leader. Almost like you're working a Ouija board, right? Or you're doing, remember that game the girls used to play when they're kids, like stiff as a board, light as a feather or whatever?
Yeah.
And like, who's lifting it? Same idea. You're supposed to be so focused on each other and paying attention to the details that when we move a little bit, we're both kind of move so that we end up working together. So try to neither of us lead the way, but let's have just our hand motion and do a little bit of motion and try to stay perfectly mirrored. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, we might have lag though. I'm not sure how well this is going. We're all right. We're all right. Yeah. That's really
I got a mic right by my hand right here.
So anyway, okay. And now everybody at home's going, yeah, this isn't going to apply ever, Neal.
What are these two talking about?
You're out of your mind. So here's the deal. All right. So in sales, something to this effect is actually taught. And my father was a salesman for a gazillion years. And one of his more recent jobs working in sales, they used to go to these training seminars. And one of the things they taught them was body mirroring for sales. Like the idea behind all these yeses, the more that they get yeses out of your mouth, the more you become comfortable. And the more you say
more
no,
likely you'll say yes to the sales pitch.
Yeah,
if you get
exactly.
people to say yes throughout your conversation, they're more likely they're going to say yes when you say, do you want to buy Matterport? And they're like, yes, because they've been warmed up and they feel
yes. You want all yeses, and you want to avoid any kind of question that would bring a no out of their mouth, because all of a sudden now they're resistant. But that's a piece of this. The other piece is body mirroring. Okay, so body mirroring it's this weird thing that I'm not an expert in it, but there's a lot of studies and a lot of books that have mentioned this. But when you were going to sit down, say at the table to go over the deal and what the price was going to be for this thing you're selling them or something like that, if you actually mirror their physicality, let's say they had their hand on the table and one hand on their face or something, if you could work in eventually that your hand's on your face as well, it naturally calms the person that you have the same mannerism, energy. I think it's a
likability thing, because people like themselves, right? Like we're all kind of self-centered beings and we like us. So when we see someone doing the same thing we're doing, we naturally are attracted to that person.
Yeah. Just think of just the way you made friends, like you related to them and you could see that you'd probably get along. It's a similar thing. If you've got your arms crossed and all offstandish and they're relaxed, that's not going to be the way to gel. So you're just kind of matching that energy, and they're going to feel more comfortable naturally, and kind of guards start to come down instead of go up.
Yeah. I read that in a book recently. I don't remember which one it was. Well, I listened to Audible. So anyways, I listened to that and I started paying attention and started kind of doing that. And then I'd find myself doing it subconsciously. Like I'd be like, wow, I'm actually mirroring them. I'm putting my hand on my hip and so are they. Like, this is so weird. You just kind of naturally do it.
Yeah.
Like if you're with someone that's a hand talker, like you'll find yourself, like when you leave, if you've hung out with that person for a couple hours, you'll leave and go home and you'll be like hand talking and you're like, why am I doing this? This is not what I normally do when they're rubbing off on me.
That's funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But don't be a weirdo and be like we just were and try to immediately mirror them like, that's not going to work. It's obviously you're just doing it in a comfortable way that when it makes sense to kind of match that energy and that general pose. But yeah, don't literally they scratch their nose, you scratch your nose.
Like, why are you copying me?
Why are you what? Why are you copying me? And definitely don't mirror what they say and repeat back to them every time. Why are you copying me?
Oh my gosh! If that happens to anyone, please drop a comment.
At least
Instagram.
If you're going to do that, please record it for social at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to say on that note too, that we had Jordan Powers on a couple episodes ago, and he recommended listening to or reading a book that I've heard of before, but the title, I think part of it is the title always rubbed me the wrong way, and I was kind of like, I don't know. It's this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Right. And I think it was always the influence people part that always sounded to me like kind of manipulation. And that kind of always rubbed me the wrong way. That, and I've also got a weird problem sometimes with accepting knowledge that I feel like maybe I'm already good at, like making friends, and I don't need a book to tell me how to do it. So I can be weird like that about things. But I broke down, Jordan said, listen. So I listened. And so if the title rubs you the wrong way at all, I have to say that the book isn't like that at all. It's not manipulative really or anything. It talks about some of these things we talked about today too. But generally I'll say it's a lot of stuff that it should be somewhat common sense, but great applications. And it just helps you think about better ways to handle discussions in a more productive way with some of these tips and tricks that they worked on over the years, many years in studies and stuff like this. So it's pretty interesting. A lot of it you might be like, oh yeah, I kind of knew that already, but maybe you didn't ever like say it out loud or think of it really in that environment that could be helpful. But there's a lot of cool tips in there just about how to really, I would say, how to have better communication, and more productive, I would say, to your benefit, just by going at it slightly different angle, let's say. So check out that book. And I got to give Jordan credit for that. And if you haven't seen that episode, you got to check out Jordan Power's episode. He had so much great information about, if you had to start over today, how would you do that in your business? And he's done that a couple times. So check that episode out too. So
yeah, episode 12. Episode 12. That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you got to say about that, Rach?
I think that's all wonderful stuff, Neal. Rach is a little tired today. I'm not gonna lie.
You need your Rach.
It's like what 5:53 my time, and we started recording at like 5:15. And I talked to you at 3, and I was all amped, ready to go. And then we're turning one of my houses. Well, we bought a new house, and our old house we're turning into an Airbnb. So I've been shopping for pillows this afternoon for my couch. Which you think like I need like 3 pillows. I see how many houses a year that are staged. You'd think I would know exactly what I need for my Airbnb. It's like, I think it's the pressure of knowing that everyone's going to see these pictures, my clients, I'm going to blast it. And I'm staging it, I'm designing it. And I'm like, take pride in doing that because I enjoy that. But it's like, oh my gosh, the pressure of picking freaking pillows. I'm like, really?
I'm totally judging. I'm going to judge those pillows so hard.
You're going to be like, why did she choose that yellow pillow? That looks ugly. No, I sent it to a couple of my stager friends and they helped me. I'm like, what do you think? They're like, you're close, but you need taller end tables. You need take that pillow away that has words on it. I'm like, what's up? None of these stagers like things with words on them. I don't get it.
Oh, really? I
guess because it's subjective. Yeah.
Oh.
It says something about, what did it say? I'd have to look. It's something about today, like enjoy. It says enjoy today. I thought it was cute.
Oh no, I would never have that on a pillow. Take it away.
Right? I think it says enjoy today. Let me look. I'm looking. Yeah, it says enjoy today. And in the writing's like black and yellow, which are the colors in the living room. But anyways, that one sounds, has to go.
I wanted to say something negative, but I have to say it sounds delightful.
Yes.
I like it. What's wrong with that?
I don't know. Apparently it's not it needs to go. But that's okay.
Well,
you know,
I'm not a designer, so what do I know?
I know. Just a plain tan one with black. I'm like, okay, I saw like 4 of those. I can go back to Target after recording. But no, okay, back to the point. I have listened to How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I think it was an amazing book. I've heard many people on different podcasts, and they always ask like, what's your favorite book? What's a good book everyone should read? And that is one that I've heard a lot of people mention. So if you have not read it yet, I think it's a really good one for real estate photographers, because this is a people business. Like, yes, what we do is kind of introverted, right? Because we're alone with the house just doing our job, but we do come in contact with a lot of agents and a lot of homeowners and a lot of people. So it's good to have those people skills and just to understand how to communicate and win people over and make friends. Those relationships are really everything in this business for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 1000%. And on that note, I think we said it. I think it was a fun, amusing, if nothing else, podcast.
I think so too. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And go follow us on Instagram. We are, half of us are going to PMRE for sure. The other half is still working out a couple like scheduling things. So we're hoping, but if we can get both of us there, then we're going to we're definitely going to go live on Instagram, but we're probably going to try to record a podcast while we're there too, which would be super fun.
I really hope that I can make it, because it's going to be a blast. It'll be a good time. I'm really excited to see people that are in the industry, people that are listening. Oh my gosh, it would be so fun to meet people who are listening and chat about whatever. And I'd love to know what you guys are all doing. You got a podcast that we could listen to too. I'd love to. So I'm really excited about the networking. I really hope it can make it. I'm planning to make it. I have my conference ticket. I have my hotel. I just, I'm doing as we preach, which is heading in the right direction. I'm just hoping that all the stars are going to align just in time so that I can make it. So
Neal is manifesting, and Neal, it will happen. You are going to.
That's right.
I don't even know why we're doubting this situation.
That's right. I'm planning on it. I'm planning in that direction. So here we go. I'm excited about it. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there. So cool.
Yeah. So go follow us on Instagram. It's Shooting the Shit with Rach and Neal.
Rach and Neal.
It's too long to fit the whole thing.
And we'd love to hear from you guys too. So if you've got comments or questions or things you'd like to hear us talk about on the podcast, that'd be great. Let us know.
Yeah, we'd love it.
Cool.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, guys. Later.